What if I told you that London is not as iconic, dreamy as it seems? Some parts of London are downright dangerous, run down and so neglected that even the locals are packing their bags and begging to leave. From rising crime rates to overcrowded, crumbling estates, these are the boroughs that you really need to think twice about before making a move. That's why I'm going to show you the truth about the worst places in London to live, because what you're about to hear may shock you. Let's kick things off with Barking and Dagenham, a borough that seems to constantly be on the outskirts of London's big plans. It's often overlooked in fancy discussions about the city's future. But don't be fooled. It's impossible to ignore when you're talking about life's daily struggles. Right, so the average home price here is about £300,000, which isn't too bad if you're looking for a bargain. Rent? Well, you're looking at somewhere between £1,000 to £1,500 a month. And as for the average household income, it sits at around £30,000. It's the lowest average income in the capital, and a child poverty rate that's through the roof. Families here are stuck just trying to make ends meet. It's not just about making ends meet either. Violent crime, youth gang activity, and antisocial behavior run rampant. Schools are overcrowded, underfunded, and left trying to cope with the demand. Housing? Well, that's a whole other mess. Old estates are crumbling, new developments are overpriced, and those on waiting lists are left in limbo for years. It's a borough that needs more than just a facelift. It needs serious, lasting change. Next up, Croydon. If you've heard of this place, you might think it's on the up and up. With all its new developments and shiny office buildings, you'd be excused for thinking it's a prime spot to live. The housing market here is all over the place, affordable on paper. But the reality of dodgy landlords, poorly maintained properties, and the sheer number of temporary accommodations make it less than ideal. Now, Croydon's average home price is about £350,000. If you're renting, expect to pay anywhere between £1,200 to £2,000 a month. Household income? Well, it's around £33,000 on average. West Croydon and parts of Thornton Heath are pretty deprived, lots of social housing and low-quality HMOs. But beneath the surface, there's a lot more to worry about. Let's talk about crime, specifically the rise in violent crimes and theft. The borough's got a reputation for being a bit of a hotspot for muggings and break-ins. Meanwhile, public services are stretched thin, schools are overcrowded, and healthcare facilities are facing long wait times. So, while Croydon may look good on the outside, life here can be pretty rough. Apparently, the Times also ranked Croydon as the best SL borough to live in 2025, back in December. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Coming in at number 8 is Haringey, home to Tottenham, a place that's been getting a lot of attention for the wrong reasons. Tottenham is a borough with big dreams, thanks to tons of investment, a newly revamped stadium, and plenty of glossy new apartment buildings. Property prices here are a bit steeper, around £450,000 for the average home. But for the people who've lived here for years, the gentrification feels more like a slap in the face. Rents are through the roof, pushing out long-time residents. Rent will set you back anywhere between £1,400 to £2,200 a month. Median household income is about £35,000. Local businesses are closing, replaced by overpriced cafes and boutiques. Crime, especially gang violence and knife crime, is still a huge issue. Public services? They're struggling too. Overcrowded schools, long waiting lists for social services, and a lack of affordable housing all contribute to the feeling that Tottenham's rise isn't as glamorous as it seems. It's a tale of two cities here, one shiny and new, and the other gritty and neglected. If you've been to Southwark, you've probably noticed its famous landmarks like the Tate Modern and Borough Market. But for those who live here, it's more than just an Instagram post. Southwark is a borough with serious issues that aren't as visible to tourists. Southwark is a bit more expensive, with homes averaging around £510,000. Housing conditions are one of the biggest problems, with overcrowded flats, illegal extensions, and substandard living conditions being common. Some areas are notorious for high crime rates, with drug-related incidents and youth violence on the rise. If you're renting, you're looking at £1,800 to £2,500 a month. The median income here is roughly £38,000. Public services are stretched to the limit, and air pollution is a growing concern. The beautiful parks and cultural gems can't mask the reality of what it's like to live here. Southwark may look amazing on paper, but for many it's an uphill battle. Newham might be known for the London Olympics and its bustling property market, but let's not sugarcoat it. This borough has some serious problems. Overcrowding is rampant, with multiple families living under one roof in overcrowded flats. In Newham, you can expect the average home price to be around £380,000. Rent will cost you somewhere between £1,300 to £2,100 a month. Many of the social housing estates are in a state of neglect, with issues like broken lifts and slow repairs. Air quality is another major problem here, with traffic pollution making it one of the worst areas in London. Despite all the shiny new developments around Stratford, many residents are being pushed further out due to rising prices. Household income here tends to be a bit lower, at £29,000. Crime rates in Newham, especially theft and antisocial behavior, are still high, making it one of the more stressful places to live in the capital. Now Brent is home to Wembley Stadium, which should tell you everything you need to know about how much attention this borough gets. On the surface, it looks great. World-class events, tons of visitors, and a sense of excitement. But once the stadium lights turn off, Brent's problems are exposed. Public services are overwhelmed, with long waiting times at local clinics and not enough support for mental health services. Housing is also a nightmare. Now, for Brent, homes are going for an average of £500,000. If you're renting, you'll pay about £1,400 to £2,300 a month. Rent is skyrocketing, while wages aren't keeping up, making it impossible for many to live comfortably. The median household income is roughly £33,000. Overcrowding is rampant, and the borough has one of the highest rates of homelessness in London. It's a borough of extremes. Those with money live in the nicer areas, while others are left struggling to get by. Now let's talk about Hackney, a place that's seen massive gentrification over the last few years. You might think this trendy area would be the perfect place to live, with its hip coffee shops, art scene, and booming property market. Now Hackney is a pricey one. Homes here average around £600,000. But behind all the shiny new apartments and cool hangouts lies a stark contrast between the wealthy newcomers and long-time residents who've been pushed out by rising rents. Renting? You're looking at £1,800 to £3,000 a month. Public services are under pressure, and housing conditions in some parts of Hackney remain poor. Median income comes in at £40,000. Crime is still a huge issue, particularly youth violence and gang-related incidents. While the area has its charms, the divide between the haves and the have-nots is growing, making Hackney a tough place for many to call home. Waltham Forest may seem like a quiet corner of London, but don't be fooled. It has some serious issues that make it one of the worst places to live in London right now. Housing is a big problem here, with long waiting lists for affordable homes and rising rents pushing many families out of the area. Property prices in Waltham Forest are at about £380,000, and rent will cost you between £1,200 to £2,000 a month. The average household income here is around £32,000. Crime is another concern, especially car theft and burglaries. Public spaces are poorly maintained, and residents often complain about fly tipping and a lack of local amenities. Schools are overcrowded, and while there's been some regeneration, it's clear that Waltham Forest still has a long way to go before it becomes a place people actually want to live in. Ilford might seem like a charming suburb at first glance, but scratch the surface and you'll find a borough grappling with serious issues. Let's start with the schools. Once known for top-performing institutions, many of the schools here are now overcrowded and underfunded. The housing situation isn't any better. While prices might seem affordable compared to central London, many properties are in poor condition, with damp, broken heating, and rodent infestations. Ilford's property prices are around £360,000 on average. Rent falls between £1,200 to £1,900 a month. As for the average income, it's around £29,000. Crime is another growing issue, with theft, assault, and drug-related incidents on the rise. Combine that with heavy traffic, high pollution levels, and a lack of local services, and Ilford starts to look less like a hidden gem and more like a tough place to live. Topping the list is Thamesmead. Now, you may not have even heard of it, and that's because it's a neighborhood that's been left behind by the city. Situated on the edges of Greenwich and Bexley, Thamesmead used to be a futuristic dream, but now it's a cautionary tale. Poor transport links, rising crime, and a lack of basic amenities make it a place where residents feel forgotten. Streets that were once bustling now sit empty, and the area's lack of community makes it feel isolated. The flooding risk is real, with drainage systems overwhelmed by frequent heavy rains, and green spaces are marred by litter and vandalism. Being a bit off the radar has an average home price of £200,000. Rent here is pretty cheap, ranging from £900 to £1,200 a month. The median household income is about £23,000. If you're looking for a place that's convenient, connected, and safe, Thamesmead is one you should skip.